I'm
It's still
ready.
crazy to me that it all just happened.
You know
Natai
what's
was
funny?
there, Tsunoda was there.
My life is a series of just like coincidences happening for the better.
Does that include meeting us?
I wouldn't go that far.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark's movie reviews and discussion detailing the good, the bad, and the downright ridiculous of. I would usually say anime movies, but we're not even talking about an anime movie this time. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and I have our czar of source material, John, tonight.
Now that brings me up to this brings a good question to my mind. What kind of movie review do we put this under? Because it's not an anime movie. So is it like a one-off movie? Are we doing all Japanese films now?
I mean, I just have a playlist on YouTube that says movie reviews. It doesn't say anime movie reviews.
Okay, all right. I guess we
Okay,
can
that
put it in
works.
movie reviews. Yeah, I didn't think about that at all, actually.
And we've done live action stuff before. We did the Cowboy Bebop live action spoiler cast.
That's true. Yeah,
So
we
that
did
was a
all
disaster.
things anime, Japan, or what the fuck?
Anime, manga, and otaku culture related.
Yeah.
And
That's
I think
Godzilla's
this
otaku
qualifies.
culture.
I think this qualifies. And we also have our boy who cried like a little bitch in the movie theater. It's Shinoda.
Yo, this movie was beyond fantastic.
Yo.
Yeah.
Spoilers, bro.
Yeah,
Who
spoilers.
does a movie review at the very beginning where we go, yes, movie's excellent, go watch. By the way, movie's excellent, go watch it. It's out of theaters probably now in America, but if you have
It might not be.
It's out of theaters for me right now.
By the time this comes out, it almost certainly will be. But yes, we are talking about Godzilla -1 tonight. The brand new Godzilla movie from across the sea over in Japan. Spoilers, it's doing very well in American theaters. It is the most financially successful.
It is doing so well that it's gone beyond the initial run, and they said they'll keep on airing it just because people keep on going to see it.
Yeah, I remember when Godzilla -1 came out, I started hearing people saying like, "Oh, it's so good," and they did extend it by an extra week. So fortunately I was able to watch it, but everyone kept telling me like, Godzilla -1, have you seen it yet? Have you seen it yet? Like not just like you guys, right? Like people at work. My coworkers in a fucking factory, middle-aged white men were coming up to me being like, "Have you seen that new Godzilla movie? That darn's pretty good." I'm like, "No, I haven't, Bill."
Like, Bill, you watch Godzilla movies?
Have you heard of Anime Club After Dark, Bill?
No, I would never plug my podcast to my coworkers. They are very much too middle America for that.
Oh, that's where they pull out the shotgun. What do you mean, Japanese?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about tonight. It kind of took over everything in America for the first 2 weeks of December. I believe it was the #1 movie in America the first week of December, which was
it
surprising.
beat several things, which I was very surprised and happy about.
It is at least now the most financially successful live action Japanese movie in the United States. So that's really cool.
I'm trying to think of other live action Japanese films that have come here, and I can't think of anything other than like
other Godzilla movies.
Well, there's a bunch of Godzilla remakes that were made in America that are god awful.
Yes.
God.
Although the one, what was it, 2014? That wasn't awful. I mean, it was not great, but it was okay.
No, I'm talking about like the 2004 Godzilla or 2006
We don't talk
Godzilla?
about that.
Oh, there was the 99 Godzilla movie by Roland Emmerich, and that sucked.
I haven't seen that one, but yeah, it's like the only way to experience good Godzilla films is to watch the Japanese ones.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of them have really terrible overdubbed English audio, and it's not great.
I don't know. I find it appealing, just like the bad dubbed kung fu movies.
It's charming.
Yeah, it's got a nostalgic feel to me because I'm like, my kung fu is very strong.
It has its place in history, is what we will say.
All right, so let's run down this. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So this was directed by Takeshi Yamazaki, also written by Takeshi Yamazaki, he also did the special effects work, or was the head special effects supervisor on.
This man was like, "Fuck it, I do it all. It's gonna
I've
be a
just
good
gonna do it all
Godzilla film."
myself. It was produced by Toho Studios and Robot Communications. It was originally released in Japan on November 3rd, 2023, and then released worldwide on the same day, December 1st, 2023. Now,
The
allegedly,
wild thing.
allegedly, I don't know if this is true or not, because the director himself has not come out and given a specific figure. Allegedly, this movie was made for something less than 15 million US dollars. If that is true, that is shocking.
When we talked about this, Alex, I said I could believe it because there's like 5 main sets and they're not that like big. They're not that in depth. They don't have so many like background actors and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then the use of CGI is pretty limited in the movie,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yep.
They use a lot. Well, we'll talk about it, but there is a lot of practical model effects in this movie. Now, the thing that makes me say this is there was a tweet that was sent out by the director of this movie, because he was responding to a bunch of people online that were saying, wow, $15 million budget, $15 million. This is amazing. This looks amazing for $15 million. Hollywood couldn't make this for $15 million. And you're absolutely right. They couldn't. And then he's like, I gotta correct you all. I gotta correct you all. It wasn't $15 million. And then the tweet ends, I wish it was that much. Like, that's literally what he's
No.
saying.
No way.
No way.
No.
So people are interpreting that as it was less than 15 million, but I'm thinking, does he mean it as if I wish it were only that much?
Right. Instead of it costs like 35 million or something.
Yeah,
Like 30,
which is
because to
still,
me, I would
that's
say
still,
35 million seems fair for this
Yeah.
film budget.
yeah.
But yeah, less than 15, I don't.
That is hard to believe.
To believe.
If that's true, there were a lot of people working on this movie for free.
Or yeah, I don't. Again, because the set dressing wasn't that like in
Elaborate.
depth and elaborate. Like something like, for example, have you guys seen Chernobyl on HBO?
Yes, fantastic miniseries.
Nope.
Fantastic set dressing.
Yeah.
Amazing set dressing. The same guy who did Chernobyl is the same guy who did The Last of Us live action HBO remake. Same set dresser. The guy who does like the makeup.
A lot of the visual
props
effects
and
in
stuff.
that in The Last of Us were also the same people that worked on Chernobyl as well.
Yeah, so like that is very expensive, and they require a lot of time and money to do things like that. So yeah, so if it's not as elaborate as something like those works, then I could see it being pretty cheap, relatively speaking.
Okay. As of the time of recording this, it is still in American theaters. I think it's also still in theaters in Europe. So this number the box office number I'm about to give could change. But as of the 17th of December, 2023, it is currently sitting at $64,091,290 US dollars.
Hella profit.
I mean, well,
Supposedly.
supposedly, if it was made for 15 million or less, yeah, that's a good profit.
Yeah, that's double. Like that's a quadruple, right? 4 times? Yeah.
Yeah. More or less.
I guess,
and I have to
times.
imagine when
Yeah,
this
that's 3
comes
times.
out on like
Bad
home
math.
video, it probably will pick up some more money. I'm shocked that it's only that much.
Yeah, so given all the hype surrounding Godzilla -1, because again, random people who probably don't even know what anime is, like what the hell is a JPEG type of people, they were telling me like Godzilla -1 is great and I should go watch it. So
Yeah.
I thought it would perform more than this. Like I thought it was somewhere in the $100 million range.
Yeah.
I mean still,
like
60 nearly 65 million is very impressive still.
we just did a movie review for The Boy and the Heron, and that's made over $100 million worldwide.
And again, I'm like, I've heard more people tell me go watch Godzilla -1 in real life than go watch The Boy and the Heron. even online.
And for astute observers, I think this is going to come out a couple weeks apart. But yes, we are wearing the exact same stuff because we recorded on the exact same day.
Yeah. We guys, oh man, it's almost like we have to do a backlog of stuff so that way
I
we can go
know.
enjoy the holidays, but keep
I
pumping
know.
out content like we didn't actually take a vacation.
I know.
Oh, content creators taking a vacation, unheard of. They are not allowed to do that.
No. This also has a total runtime of just over 2 hours at 125 minutes. A lot like The Boy and the Heron. In fact, there's only 1 minute difference between the runtimes.
Oh wow.
Now, let's get into the art and animation. Like I had mentioned before, the visual effects were also done by a director, Takeshi Yamazaki. There is a lot of use of practical special effects, especially models.
Maybe that's how they save so much money. The director is also the writer and also the special effects guy.
Yeah. He only took one salary for 3 jobs.
Exactly, maybe.
He might have.
No, he took one salary for 3 different fucking departments.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, there's a lot of practical special effects, and thank God, because practical effects look so good.
Yeah,
It
I've
was
always been a
amazing.
proponent of practical effects because it always just looks better. It always ages better too.
Yeah. I'm telling you, as good as the CG might look today, in 10, 15 years, it's gonna look awful.
CG ages.
Yes. Like milk.
But practical effects, they last so damn long. Like you could see films from like 30, 40 years ago, they still look amazing.
Longer than that, you look at something from the 60s, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. All the practical miniatures and that still look great.
Actually, yeah.
Also, Godzilla design. I like this Godzilla design a lot.
Yeah, I like that it went back to the classic Godzilla look.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It looks like the OG Godzilla, just like slight changes here and there, but overall extremely familiar.
I do want to say that scene where Godzilla is looking straight at the camera, fucking terrifying.
Oh no,
terrifying.
Like when you actually saw Godzilla, like every time you did see it, it was actually scary. Like,
well, I like the fact that within 10 minutes you see Godzilla.
Yeah,
like thank
I
God.
do appreciate that.
I
Yeah.
came to a Godzilla film, and within 10 minutes, I got to see Godzilla. I'm like, good enough.
That is a criticism I definitely have of a lot of Godzilla movies, is that they wait until like the midpoint of the movie to even show Godzilla.
Yeah, you get like 30 minutes into it, and there's always that human element that they talk about first. Like, we've detected radiation. There's been earthquake spikes, this and that.
Just
Oh,
so
what's
much random
going
bullshit.
on? And then like, I don't give a fuck about this. Show me the kaiju fighting fucking shit up.
Yeah. Is it worth noting that this director, Yamazaki, has worked on other Godzilla projects in the past, although in much more minor roles.
That's probably, I definitely feel like this is a labor of love thing, especially if the budget was as low as it was. Like, definitely a labor of love.
I mean, it is also worth pointing out that this film was made to celebrate the
75th. Yeah.
75th?
Yeah.
75th anniversary of Godzilla. So, I mean, let me tell you something. For an anniversary celebration, shit's fucking good.
Yeah, pretty damn good.
I'm glad it wasn't some like rehash of an old Godzilla movie, or like a 1-for-1 remake of the first one, because that would have been awful too.
I mean, so you got to I'll expand more on this when we get to the spoiler narrative section, but you got to understand like the original Godzilla is why it was created.
Yeah.
To really appreciate what we mean by like they didn't do that and it was a good thing.
Yeah. For sure. Also wanted to point out for cinematography, whoever edited this movie did a phenomenal job. I don't know who the editor is on this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Ryuji Miyajima. Fantastic job. Like the way stuff is cut together, the way everything is spliced, it's beautiful. Like this movie looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like from the cuts to the transitions, like everything is just absolutely spot on. I just the editing in this is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
like the scene where he's having the nightmare and he opens the door and he's
yes,
having a dream though, and it's like it cuts to like he's actually there again. It's like, yo, that was actually
It
pretty
was
cool
seamless.
transition. I
It
like
was
that.
seamless.
And all
I
I
was
could think of was like they
so
built
impressed.
an actual small box set of like what his room was it actually looks like, but this that way they could place it on the field and reenact it. I'm like, that's actually super cool.
yeah.
I like
Also,
shit
the
like that.
great. Well, this is more so in the beginning of the movie, but like the great use of lighting in that first like opening scene where you first actually see Godzilla. Because you can hear Godzilla, but you can't see him, and then they turn on the light, and oh my god, he's there!
Yeah.
He's like
Spotlight.
right
And he's
there.
like, oh god.
Not to mention, there were other scenes where they made sure to focus a light on where it matters. For example, when a lot of scenes when it was just he and Noriko talking, the light was specifically on them and everything else was much more muted in the surroundings, and it was done so perfectly. Like you wouldn't even care, but I watched it twice and I picked up that detail. I was like, wow, that is beautifully put together.
I know, John, you hate the child actor in this film, and we'll get to
Hate.
that. And there is a scene with that child actor I really like, and it's actually a scene that you hate because you can tell that she's crying on cue. But the way that scene is framed and the way it's lit is so good because you got all the lighting is in the foreground and the background is completely dark. It's like they're alone.
Yeah, I I have a problem with child actors in general in movies, especially really young ones, because it's like someone who's really young can't really act too well. It's
Mhm.
just like they have to be act. They act on cue. They don't act well,
Yeah.
which is my problem. And it was very obvious, like in that scene, it was so detracting for me because I'm like, all I could think of was like, who pinched her?
Yeah, it's like you can tell in that scene where the main character Koichi is talking to her and like trying to comfort her, and like all of a sudden she's like, well, where's mommy? And then there's just it's silent, and then she just starts crying instantly.
Yeah, she's looking literally off screen, and then she goes, "Eh," and I'm like, someone pinched her. Someone did something to like
Either that or they
she's
held up
crying.
something really scary.
Yeah, they did something to make this poor girl cry. Like it's I get what the movie was trying to convey. Like, oh, it's she's feeling sad. She's overcome with sadness because she doesn't know where mommy is. But I'm like, it's, you pinched her, dude. Come on.
I do like how that scene though is framed and blocked and specifically lit because everything around them is dark and they're the only ones that are lit.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of there's a lot of symbolism in Godzilla movies in general, like in the original one and in this one, but a
I,
lot of themes that I really liked.
I said it in a recent episode of the podcast. I will say it again. Hollywood needs better lighting engineers, and like the lighting in this movie is so good. They need to just go work in Hollywood.
Bro, they
Just
need better
please.
everything. They need
There needs
better
better everything,
Better writing,
honestly.
better directing, better.
better sound designers. Like, what the hell, dude? How come when I'm watching a fucking movie, it's like it gets really quiet, but then the sound effects are like,
Oh
what
my!
the hell?
Listen, you want to talk about bad sound? This is a tangent here, a minor tangent. I
Go
haven't
for it.
seen the movie yet in theaters. Maybe it's completely different. But have you seen one of the trailers for Wonka? Oh my
No,
god, the sound mixing is terrible in the trailer.
I have not seen anything. I know that there's a Wonka movie coming out, and I was like, I
It's
It's
don't
out
out.
care.
now.
It's already out.
Okay, yeah. See, again, I don't care. So
I don't know. Just the amount of bad, just technical stuff in Hollywood movies these days. It irks me to no end. But
It's
speaking of
almost
sound,
like all the professionals retired.
yeah,
it's almost
yeah,
like they're underpaying a lot of people, and they really don't give a
that
shit.
that that too. Um, um, what was I gonna say? Oh,
Music, sound design.
one last thing before we move on to that. I also like the fact that this film takes place in the aftermath of World War II, and it
Yes.
looks like it. Tokyo is fucked.
Yeah, I mean,
Complete utter like razed to the ground, fucked. Like
Some of y'all,
how it
some
truly
people,
was.
young people out there might not realize, as much as like Hiroshima and Nagasaki were fucked over by the atomic bomb, like Tokyo was pretty much carpet bombed for months.
A lot of
so
people don't realize
funny.
the
Um,
firebombing that the US did to Japan actually was worse in terms of
yeah.
damage
So
than the atomic
I was
bombs.
in my government class in high school. I had to debate whether the atomic bombings or the fire bombings were worse, and I had to debate for the fire bombs. And I learned that there were millions of people killed with the fire bombs,
Hmm.
millions, way more places razed, way more damage, way more than the atomic bomb ever did. But for
Hmm.
whatever reason, people think that atomic bombs were worse. I mean, there are worse in a singular moment and the fallout,
It's
of
in the
course.
shock and awe sense. Yes,
Yeah,
they
and the shock
are.
and
Yeah.
all, yeah, but, like, it's like overall, like, no, the fire bombings killed way more, way more.
Yeah. I do like how over the course of the movie, like that little hovel slash house they live in just gets more and more fixed up.
Yeah, I
It
like that
was the progression of time of the world of the movie. It was a reflection of their characters. It was beautiful.
Shinoda world building in my Godzilla movie. What?
What?
I know.
No way. Hollywood, take notes.
I know. Talking about the sound design, though, I want to give special props to the music composer of this soundtrack, Naoki Sato. Um, Great use of original music cues from
Oh
early
my
Godzilla
god. The
movies.
Godzilla theme, bum,
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 bum, bum,
bum.
bum.
I was like,
When they
"Yo, let's
Yo, when
go!"
they started playing it, the hairs on my arms, they just went whoop. I
It's
was
just
See,
like,
I
classic.
I like how when Godzilla is first shown, there's very little music at all. Like, and what music we do have is just it's very new. It just seems like a brand new piece of music that was made. It's good, don't get me wrong. But then you see Godzilla, like fully formed Godzilla in broad daylight, and then you get that original music that comes in is like, whoo.
Yeah, like nostalgia factor cranked to 10. Obviously, for people who've never watched the original Godzilla or like grew up watching all the Godzilla films like I did, they probably wouldn't understand why it was. Yeah, it's a callback. It's for the
Yeah,
old people in the crowd.
yeah,
So sit down, you youngsters.
yeah. I don't know who wrote this down, but I absolutely agree with it. The use of a full orchestra during the final battle. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
great
beautiful.
scoring, great sound
so
design in the movie.
there is 15 different pieces that were in this movie. That specific score is there's two parts to it. It's called Divine and Unscathed. Divine
Okay.
is when the orchestral part starts, and oh my goodness, I fucking nutted when they
Bro,
started.
like
It was so beautiful. It's a new piece, and holy shit! I when I started hearing it, I was in awe. I was like, "My god! Like, did they really fire a whole orchestra to do this? Because it sounds beyond fantastic."
yeah, it's very good. Like especially the climactic scene at the end when you hear the swell and it's just like, oh my god,
Like,
everything
you know it's
about
coming. Like, you know it's do you know what it reminded me of? The music during that final battle reminded me so much, and John, you're gonna roll your eyes because I know you
you're
haven't
gonna say
seen this
Star
movie.
Wars. You're gonna say
I was
Star
gonna
Wars.
say it's like the fucking trench
Fucking
run in Star
yeah,
Wars: A New Hope.
yeah, sure. Like I don't know what that means, but sure. It was very epic. Yes.
And it's
It gives the
it's
same
like watching a
feeling.
dog fight. It's so fun.
Oh my god, and like the music while he's engaged in the dogfight with Godzilla, bro. Like, oh,
Yes.
dude, it's so good. Everything about it's so good. Oh man, I want to talk about the story so bad. But I don't know who I probably should know that. I didn't add anything to this doc because I
It
was like,
was me.
these are
I
very
added a
good
lot.
points. The use of selective silence was very effective, extremely
Yes.
effective. I loved it. Again, less is more sometimes. I
Dude,
wish.
when Godzilla's first introduced in that opening scene, and you hear like the footsteps of Godzilla, but it's dark and you can't see him. And then when they put the light on him and you see Godzilla, the music and all the sound effects gone. And it's
Yeah,
like
because it's like in that moment of shock. Like you
because
wouldn't.
and the camera's panning around to everyone who's like just frozen in shock.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. Like I see a freaking 100-foot dinosaur just appear. Like, what the hell is that?
And it's not the only time. There are several times throughout the movie that they use complete silence as a audio tool, and every time it is masterfully used. It is a moment of pure shock, awe, and horror. And my God, do they
There's
do
a
it right?
the scene during like the final battle. There's the suicide run, and as the plane comes in, you see that music just cuts off, like all the
Everything
sound
cuts
cuts
off.
off, and it's like it just the camera's cutting to everyone just watching the plane go in. It's
And the
fucking great.
faces on their the faces, the expression of emotion, the horror, the awe, my God. And like complete silence. You're forced to process what they're going through.
And speaking of spoilers, Alex,
Hmm?
you just
I,
spoiled like
well,
the
it
climax of the
wasn't
movie.
exactly a
Oh,
spoiler. I
actually, yeah,
didn't
you
say
spoiled
who
a
was
You
huge
doing
part.
it.
spoiled that. Oh, come on, bro.
Fuck,
Anyway,
John, you might have to cut that.
I'm it's fine because we were going to segue into the spoiler section anyway. I wanted to give people a warning so that way they could click away now. Like, take our advice. However you can, go watch Godzilla. All right, like go buy the movie if it comes out, buy the DVD, whatever, Blu-ray, stream it on Vudu if it goes on there, whatever.
Voodoo?
Vudu, yeah, it's run by Fandango, I believe.
Oh,
People
Yeah.
who sell movie tickets.
is that where
I
all the
actually
other
have
Godzilla
several
movies
friends
are?
that use Voodoo. It's actually a cool
Yeah,
service.
I use Vudu. You can buy
Is
movies and
is that where all the other Godzilla movies are?
yeah, I don't know, but I'm saying go watch Godzilla. Go buy it. Support it. It's very
Support this
great.
movie specifically. It is
Yeah.
beyond amazing.
All right.
Please.
Now click away if you don't want to hear any major plot spoilers more so than what Alex has already done.
John, please
Whatever.
cut that away. That was a huge part.
I don't think that's a huge spoiler at
It's a
all.
huge dude. What the
It's a
fuck are you
huge-
talking? That was huge.
That's a
I don't
huge
understand what
spoiler.
people think are spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, you don't.
don't.
You don't care. Which is fine.
Everything
but-
is a major spoiler, I guess.
How? Oh my god. All right.
Okay, we're not getting
so-
into this. We've talked about this.
I hate this argument because people think everything is a spoiler.
Everything is a spoiler.
Oh my god, let me talk about this major plot point that happens. Like that's not a spoiler. Oh man, let me talk about how Harry Potter kills Dumbledore.
Okay,
or
okay,
whatever.
okay. Moving away
Like-
from this. Back to movie. We start off this movie at the towards the ending of World War II when Koichi is on one of the what is presumably final suicide runs that they were doing, and he pussed out. He pussed
Yeah.
out like a bitch.
So Koichi, the main character, is a kamikaze pilot. And fun fact, most kamikaze pilots during World War II were actually prisoners of war and they're Korean.
Yep.
But there were also Japanese ones, and
There were
Japanese
some
ones
that
were,
volunteered.
well, voluntold.
Voluntold, yeah.
There were some that volunteered.
Oh,
Very,
of course
very
there were
few, but there were some that
volunteers.
volunteered.
Yeah, there are people who volunteer because, in very traditional Japanese ways, in a very Japan way, they care about tradition a lot. And one of the traditions is like honor and valor and,
Die for your
dying for your
emperor.
country. Yeah, dying for your emperor because he told you to. But Koichi's like, nah, he bitches out. So he's just like, hey, there's something wrong with my airplane. And he goes to the repair island and they're just like, yeah, you're one of like the best pilots that we have. And he's like, oh yeah, I did really well in the simulation, but and they're like, we can't find anything wrong with your plane. And that's when everyone on the island's like, this guy pussed out. Like he didn't die for his country. Even though they were already losing, like there was one guy on the island at least that was like, you know what? I don't blame you, kid, because everyone
It's all pointless. Yeah,
yeah,
he
it's all
says
pointless.
that.
We all see what's going on, where it's headed.
I mean, at this point, like it was pretty common knowledge that they were losing badly.
Yeah, because of they mentioned it in the movie, but most of Japan's casualties came from supply chain issues. They
Mhm.
couldn't feed their men. They couldn't get them the proper supplies
Couldn't
be
get
able to
medical
actually-
treatment.
Yeah, so a lot of it was due to that. So the ineptitude of the government is what killed most of their soldiers, not the rest of the world.
Which is kind of a theme of this movie, if you think about it.
Oh, it's a huge theme. But
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
they bring it up at towards the end of the movie when they criticize the Japanese government about it, where they and it's actually very, very good because so one thing I want to talk about, like this is a true remake in the sense that it literally copies the reason why Godzilla was made. So Godzilla originally was made as a allegory, symbolism, illusion, whatever the word is.
Allegory would probably be the
Allegory.
most
Yeah.
proper term.
But like who would have thought the giant atomic beast was the allusion to nuclear weapons?
What? No
Whoa,
way.
Whoa!
no way.
This creature that has atomic breath? What?
I listen. You think I'm kidding, but I did tell that to someone at work, and she was just like, "I never realized that it was an allegory to atomic weapons." And I'm like, "Really?"
Are you serious?
Yeah, she didn't
Wha-
realize, but
Oh my
I have to ask, John, did this person get to work on the short bus?
god. Alex, you
rude,
can't go
sir.
around saying things like that.
How do you not get it? Like media literacy
Sometimes
is, I guess, a
people
thing. I guess.
listen. Sometimes people don't look for deep meaning in movies, and that's okay, right? Because at the end of the day, what do I remember Godzilla for the most? Giant monsters fighting shit. Not that it
Smash.
was originally created as an allegory to nuclear weapons and talking about how, hey, you guys nuked us and that was pretty bad. Maybe we don't deal with that stuff anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like it is a true remake. Like it completely wipes the slate clean, so you don't have to know anything about Godzilla going into this.
Yeah,
Which I
'cause
think is to the movie's benefit.
yeah, because I remember when -1 came out, my first question was, is this related to Shin Godzilla in any way?
No, not at
And
all.
people were like, nope. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
No,
it's its own thing.
then I got more concerned. I was like, wait, if it's not related to Shin Godzilla, like why is this being made? And then it's like, oh, it's for the 75th anniversary. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. It's a remake because they like the Godzilla series.
I do like the review that Hideaki Anno gave this movie. It's like very good, very technically well done.
Yeah.
That's it.
because
That's
it
his whole
was.
review. That's his whole review.
Listen, if anyone knows Anno's like history, when he thinks something is cool, he just likes it. Okay, it's good, it's cool. Like, why did you theme the angels after angels and all this stuff? I thought it was cool. Like, oh, I thought it was the symbolism. Nah, it was just cool. Like, what the hell, Anno?
I assure you, dear viewer, that still shot of a fucking ashtray while Misato's getting her asshole eaten out was very vital to the plot.
Dude, Hideaki Anno, I swear. But anyway,
So right after that, you see Godzilla come to the island, kill the whole crew, give my man Koichi massive amounts of PTSD.
yo, so the first scene I saw was like Koichi wakes up, right? And there's like a line of dead people. I was
Yep.
like, who the fuck is lining these people up? Did you do this, Koichi? Godzilla didn't do this before she left. What the hell? But it turns out Tachibana actually survived. The head engineer,
Yeah, head
mechanic,
engineer,
head
Yeah,
mechanic.
I don't know exactly what his like
engineer,
role
mechanic,
was
whatever.
specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like he survived, and he's just like, oh, bro, like he was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Koichi? You could have killed him, but you didn't. We asked you to shoot, and you fucking didn't. Like he bitched out again. Like
He froze in the moment.
yeah, and at this point, Godzilla is still tiny. Like Godzilla, she
Bad
isn't like
enough.
It was just
150
a
feet
deep
tall.
sea creature. Yeah.
At this point, it was like maybe 10 stories tall or something. And it's like you could definitely kill it with a, well, kind of. I mean, they didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, they didn't know, but
But Godzilla has more than like atomic breath in her arsenal of weapons. But it was super cool. Just like just the night raid, dude, on the island. I really I liked seeing Godzilla in the first 10 minutes.
yeah.
And then like the start shot between like now you have all the dead people lined up. You literally like, dude, look at what you did. You caused this. You could have stopped it, but you didn't because you bitched out. And I was like, bro, damn.
Let us give our main character not just PTSD but survivor's guilt as well.
Oh, the survivor's guilt is prevalent throughout the movie, and it's honestly one of the main themes about the movie.
Yeah, and normally I hate the human element of Godzilla movies because I just get
But this
get
one is so
PTSD.
good.
This one was really good, exceptional.
With
'Cause
the
I remember
exception of the child character.
with the exception of the child character, but that's more of the acting than it is the actual character.
Mm.
I remember asking you guys before I watched it. I was like, how's the human element? And you guys were like, it's there, but it's really good. I was like, and I was just thinking to myself, how could it be good?
Like, how
How
can
could a
Godzilla human elements ever be good?
Because you've been burned so many times on Godzilla movies with human elements.
yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
So, but at first I didn't give a fuck. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. You're a little bitch boy. Like, who cares? But then, like, the story keeps moving along, and like watching Koichi's redemption arc happen is really fucking good.
It's
I
so
thoroughly
satisfying.
enjoyed it.
Do you know why it's so satisfying? Because so much stuff is set up in like the first 25-ish, 30 minutes of the movie, and all of it gets paid off by the end. Every single bit of it gets paid off by the end.
Yeah, there is
Oh
not a
yeah,
single thing that's like, "Oh, yeah, this was just a throwaway, whatever." No, everything matters. Every single minute of these, 2 hours matters.
Yeah. Like to the point, like there's the thing about midway through the movie where they're talking about how badly designed Japanese planes were compared to American planes. Like they don't even have ejection seats. That gets an offhanded line like that gets paid off by the end of the film.
yeah. There was a lot of again, a lot of criticism of the Japanese government, which
Which I was
is
shocked by.
yeah, I was shocked by that too because a lot
I
of people
loved
are
it.
like, I loved it as well, but more so in the sense that during the time where this is happening, you know, the World War II has finally ended and Japan's in its post-war recovery stage. And a lot of
Americans
people are
are there. They're
kind of, I mean, they're
kind of
they're there, but they're like, oh man, we got to worry about Russia right now.
yeah.
But the rebuilding element was very central to the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
And
Which I think is
watching
probably something Japan needs now.
a restructuring of their government and getting rid of the old policies and making way for the new and paving a future. Yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying,
I
maybe.
mean, I feel like a lot of governments could benefit from that type of advice, but
Maybe the whole world.
Well,
Cough,
I'm
cough.
not. I haven't heard about any gay sex parties happening in the Japanese diet, but
They could probably use some.
no, that.
have
But
you seen the people that are living or working in our government? I don't want to see them in any skin folds, man.
but watching the recovery efforts of his neighborhood and stuff like that, and watching him go from, well, he's kind of closed off, right?
Yeah,
He as he's back in his town, he sees his like he calls her
Everything.
he calls her Nason, his neighbor basically. His like
yeah.
some older lady of the neighborhood of his, you know, that's like an older sister to him,
Yeah,
kind
his
of.
neighbors, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes it seem like they were like really close family friends, maybe.
Well, they were neighbors, so
Yeah,
maybe she watched him when he was younger, but
yeah.
she's like, "Oh, Koichi,
Babysitter.
you're back. I can't believe it. But
Like,
weren't you a
how are you back?
kamikaze pilot? You bastard. You're the reason my kids died because people like you pussed out and didn't fight for your country." And I'm just like, "Ooh,
Which is
that's
how
rough, buddy."
in real life history, that is how kamikaze pilots who actually did make it home were treated.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were
And
treated as traitors.
yeah, because you were supposed to die, but you didn't. Like, if your job is to die and you don't do it, you didn't do your job.
Yeah.
And
But
you
I'm
were
like,
shunned for it.
and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking seeing like all the rubble, like all these people who are grieving. Everyone, and she's like, she doesn't give a shit about the world. And it's like, yeah, no, that's fair. Your family just died in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
You know, like you kind of don't give a shit about the world when that happens. And then he meets a girl.
Yeah, he goes into a market one day and a thief was running by and like he heard, "Stop, thief, stop!" And he's like, he sees her running with a bundle and like he moves to stop her.
Oh.
He sees her and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And she
Bundle is
hands
a
the baby
child.
to him.
Yeah, she's like, hey, hold this. He's like, what?
He's like, "What the fuck? What?"
Hands the baby to him like a sack of potatoes. Hold this, I'll be back. She never came back.
And she never came back. And the dude's just sitting there. And then at one point he's like, ah, fuck it. I'm just going to leave this baby here. But then he
Can't
just
do it.
goes, okay, I can't do that. I can't be that much of a
Yeah.
piece of
He's
shit.
not a heartless monster, is the thing. He's a human. He's
Yeah.
like, he turns
then-
around. Okay, I can't leave the baby here.
So then he grabs the
Kick
baby.
the
He's like,
baby.
all right, I'll just get out of here. Like, I'll bring the baby home or something. And then as he's leaving, she's like, oh my God, finally you fucking moved. And he's like, what the fuck? You've been here this whole time? He's just like, I've been waiting for you to move. I'm not going out in public. I'm just like, what the fuck's going on here?
I found that
Oh,
hilarious because it's like it's so true. Like, yeah, she's a thief. She can't go out into public at the moment.
I just remembered something I wanted to talk about with my personal experience with this movie. Do you remember a few weeks ago, John, or well, about a month or so ago now, where you talked about people taking their kids to the movie theaters?
Oh God.
Young
No,
kids to movie theaters, or
I do not
maybe it was
recall this.
Shinoda that said it. I don't know. Someone on this podcast said something about taking young children to movie theaters. I had one in my movie theater,
Oh boy.
and I'm pretty sure it was someone who was like maybe 5, 6, probably a little too young for this movie.
Right.
Um,
What was the rating on it? PG-13?
PG-13, I believe, yes.
You literally
Um,
saw people get squished. How is it only
and
13?
bitten in half. Um,
Because there was no gore.
yeah, there's no gore and there's no like super bloody bits. I
It's like in
guess,
Star Wars when you blast someone and they kind of just fall over. It's like, well, there's no blood or
Yeah.
viscera or
but
dismemberment. So
the reason I wanted to bring this up was because when the movie started, I get because this person I don't know whether it was a boy or a girl because I couldn't tell by the voice. Um, but when the movie started and they started speaking Japanese, this child said, "Why are they speaking Spanish?" And
oh,
it took everything I could do to just hold it together and not bust out laughing in this movie theater. I love children when they do stuff like that because it's funny. But boy, when they're asking a million questions through a movie, it's grating.
yeah. I mean, I get that. Like, I watched Godzilla as a kid,
Yeah,
and
me too.
I feel like the name Godzilla as a household name, it's like, yeah, it's more of a kid thing, right? Like watching monster films and stuff like that. So I can see why a parent would be like, "Oh yeah, let's go watch Godzilla." I remember watching Godzilla. My kid will love it. I think kids would like this movie because it has a heroic storyline, like
Yeah.
Koichi's redemption arc, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they wouldn't appreciate the finer things like in the movie, like the motifs of like the government fucked up.
How deep it actually is.
Yeah, because it's oh my god. The narrative, the human element and narrative was very impressive. The fact that they criticized the government and a central theme to the original Godzilla was always like we have to rebuild together, like the power of unity and this and that, coming together
Yeah.
to face adversity. That's kind of the movie, but no criticizing of the government. But they take it a step further in my mind for Godzilla minus one, because in one scene, like all the old people, right? They're like, there's the people who are like, oh, who bitch out. I was like, you know what? I died for my country, sent me to die. I'm not willing to die for it again. And they leave, but like they don't make a big deal about it. They're like, that's fine. We're not your government. We're not asking you to die for us.
We're not telling you to do it. It's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
volunteer thing.
And then people leave, but then the other people are like, I've already given all my life. I have nothing else to lose. So why not? And a lot of it is like a lot of the old people who already have lost everything, who are just like they volunteer for it. And it makes sense. And they're okay with that. And the whole like rejection of like, the young, like there's the kid, right? He's nicknamed the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like, let me go fight Godzilla with you guys. And the old people are like, no. Like it's like, why? Is it because I didn't go to war? Is that why? And they're like, kid.
And they tease him multiple times throughout the movie about
Yeah.
you're a kid, you don't know what war is like. You weren't young, you were too young to go
Yeah,
to
because
war.
he wanted to go to war. He's like, he's starry eyed. He's like, oh, I wanted to fight for my country, this and that.
Hell,
But
at the first point when he and Koichi first met, like he remarks to him, "I wish the war was still going on so I could have joined." And Koichi got so fucking offended over that. Understandably.
yeah, because oh man, because kids don't know. It's like the gravity of war, the realization of how many people actually died and all the suffering that it causes. Not just for
That scene though you're talking about where they're talking about getting that militia together and going off to fight Godzilla, and he's like, "Take me with you, take me. I can do stuff. I didn't fight. No, I can do stuff. Let me go." And they're not even acknowledging him. They turn around and walk away from
Yeah.
him. And under their breath as they're walking, you say, "We're trying to
We
make this
leave the
better for
future
you,
to
so you don't
you.
have to go to war."
yeah,
No,
like
they're like,
and
"We
then
leave the future to you." And I was like,
well
yeah,
before that
that's how it
the good
is.
scene that what I liked before they walked away, right, is they go to the kid and they're like, kid, you should consider it an honor to have never had to go to war. And I was like,
Hmm.
that is so true. Like he doesn't know how good he's got it. The fact that
Yeah.
he doesn't have to experience war. But they're doing that because it's a send off, right? Here's the older generation who's been chasing the ghosts of war, because something that Koichi's been dealing with this entire time is his PTSD, right? He
The
feels
war
guilty.
within.
Yeah, the war within. He's chasing ghosts of the past, the ghosts of war, and they have to do what they need to do so they can finally come home, which is a very a very PTSD vet thing to happen to a lot of guys.
It's Rambo.
Yeah, because those guys don't. A lot of people who come back don't come back,
Hmm.
and it's very sad. But
That's
they
true.
have to do what they need to do to help them come back. And for Koichi, it was fighting Godzilla and getting revenge for his crewmates, and for the old captain guys, they were just like they wanted to leave a better future for the younger generation, and that send off was like, it's a very powerful message.
I do love the I forgot where I had a you're watching a thought die inside my head right now.
Caught in 4K.
Caught in
Yeah, I
4K.
know.
His brain
God.
cells are literally just
um
What
I
you
was gonna say, I love how the solution to fighting Godzilla in this movie, it's not super science fictiony. It's not out of left field. It doesn't come out of nowhere,
it's
and
real science.
it's grounded in like practical science.
yeah, I thought that was really
The
cool.
thing with the Freon, it's like that's like a legitimately novel way to try to defeat Godzilla. To my knowledge, that's never been tried in any of the other movies.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let's just pressurize and then depressurize Godzilla.
Like super fast.
And I was like, oh, wow, that's very creative.
Like again, something I feel like it was benefited by this movie being set in the time period it was. Like the thing with Godzilla movies, especially over the last 10, 15, 20 years, is that everyone has felt like you have to set them in a modern time. Like,
No, I think
I
it
don't
has
think
been done
Godzilla
before.
really works in modern time, to be perfectly honest.
Alex,
I
I think it
mean,
has been done before.
What, the
yeah,
Freon thing?
2006 Godzilla.
No, the Freon thing.
Has it?
I think
Must have
I'm
been a
having
Godzilla movie I
some
haven't watched.
I'm having some sort of memory about that. I'll have to look into it later, but I think it has been done
If you
before.
know what Shinoda is talking about, let us know below. If he's talking out of his ass, let us know that too, because we
I'm
want to beat
probably
the shit
talking
out of
out
him.
what I asked. What do I know?
I
Um,
honestly, I don't remember it being used in previous Godzilla films, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's so many of them, and it's gotten to the point where it's gotten more and more ridiculous each time they try to defeat Godzilla, because it feels like every time they make a Godzilla movie, it feels like they have to outdo how they defeated Godzilla the last time.
I have no idea, but yeah,
I like
I
the
think
just the
that
very practical, like, let's form a militia and go after this with Freon and sink him to the bottom of the ocean and raise him up.
yeah, they talk about how like the U.S. can't help because they're worried about a war of Russia, so they can't really do anything, and the Japanese government can't help because they don't really care. They're like, oh yeah, Godzilla, who cares?
The
So it's
provisional
really,
government in the
Which is
first couple of years after World War II was fucking useless.
it really was.
so it tracks. My favorite part about the movie, right, is the kamikaze run, the thing that
Mm.
Alex spoiled.
I did not spoil it, but okay.
You spoiled it.
So Koichi has spent his entire time, basically, he meets Noriko and obviously Akiko. He adopts him. It's a found family situation. Gets cute, and they're like, "Why don't you get together with Noriko? Well, like, what's wrong with you? You haven't married this lady yet?" And
It's
he's
like
just like,
it's obvious both of you have feelings for each other.
"Yeah." And it's like, you leading her on, you that type of guy, and he's just like, "No, I can't because he Koichi himself understands, like, he doesn't think he's worthy of love first and foremost, because
Yep.
he had the survivor's guilt and he has the PTSD. And then Godzilla attacks the mainland, and he goes to try to save Noriko, and then Noriko ends up saving him, sacrificing her life for his, where she pushes
Bro,
him out of the
that
way.
That scene, my God.
powerful doesn't begin to describe it.
Okay,
Like,
first and foremost, the atomic breath, right? Or the heat
Yes.
oh
ray.
my god, the heat ray. Holy
Bro.
shit.
Like the spines going up and then fucking charging in the blue, the
Like a
classic Godzilla
mechanical
blue.
machine.
I'm like,
yeah.
I love it.
Atomic breath.
Like when you first saw it, the first instance you saw it, it was used on a ship and it was just a quick zoop. Like the ship just got evaporated. You're like, oh hell yeah, atomic breath. We have it in this movie. And you're like, okay, cool. That was pretty cool. You don't, but that was underwater. You don't see the full effect. And
Yeah,
it was shot straight into the sky.
so then when Godzilla gets to the city and uses the atomic breath, like, oh my god, it was so cool. But also it's like super sad because like Noriko, again, Koichi goes to save Noriko, and then Noriko again ends up saving Koichi. Like
It was
she's
a
done
heroic
multiple times.
sacrifice.
Yeah, and I was just like, bro, and then Koichi fucking loses it. I'm like,
Mhm.
Oh
again,
my god, that
as to be
tragedy on his
expected.
face was
Oh,
fucking peak.
it was
I mean,
broke my
that
heart.
man was
It broke
having
my
a
heart.
breakdown.
Well, because he was
That
finally
must have been the
starting to
part
like
where Hideaki
recover.
Anno thought this is a good movie.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I relate to that.
I remember this very well.
Yeah, and then we get to the fucking scene where so now Koichi is like, all right, we have to kill Godzilla. I have to avenge Noriko. And he decides he's gonna find the world's or rather, he needs to find the mechanic, right? Tachibana. Because it has to be Tachibana. Because again, Koichi has been chasing the ghosts of his past, these ghosts of war that he needs to lay to rest, and he knows that Tachibana has to as well. So he sends him like a bunch of like letters saying like it's your fault that everyone on the island died to piss off Tachibana to go fucking find him and beat him up. Uh,
And Tachibana
and then
comes in.
Tachibana, in
Whoop!
classic fashion, comes up, beats the shit out of him.
He's like, the fuck you mean?
Yeah.
Let's
And
not
he,
forget though,
Koichi's
John.
like, no, I'm sorry. I just had to bait you.
Let's not forget though, John. The whole reason they have to find him is because of the Shinden fighter plane.
The Shinden fight,
Yes.
that thing was so
That's
Oh my
fucking
so
God.
cool. I'm
sick.
so glad they put that in there. It's such a cool plane.
It's historically accurate. They were built for mainland fighting, and it's a cool plane. It's a single fan propelled plane from the behind, but it's very fast, but it's meant for short distances because it's an inland.
It's not a
fighter
long
plane.
range fighter. It's a short range
No.
fighter.
But it's very cool. It's
But
very
it's
cool that the
such a
Shinden
cool-
exist.
It's one of the coolest plane designs in World War II, and they barely flew. They were they were built near the very end of the war, and they very rarely flew.
So again, super cool. But he has to ask Tachibana fix it up because he's like it helps Tachibana get over it, and then Koichi's like, I'm ready to fucking die because he's lost Noriko. He's lost all reason. He's like, I'm gonna go kill Godzilla. I'm gonna avenge all of our crew members, militia mates, whatever, our army buddies,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna finally die. And Tachibana's like, okay. And and then it gets to the part where I hate the child actor. Like, don't get me wrong, Akiko, sweet
Yeah.
child. I was just like, oh, little precious baby, right? Beautiful looking kid. However, the acting, I absolutely hate child actors who are very young. Like we're talking 6 and under because it's hard to get them to act. They're children. They're literal toddlers, right?
It does make you appreciate an anime where they just get adults to voice the child characters.
Makes it a lot easier.
Because obviously, Akiko, when she does the crying thing, because it's like, oh, where's mom? Because Noriko's dead now. So, and she's handing the picture to Koichi. So I get it. Like, she's supposed to be feeling sad and she's supposed to cry about that. But literally, she's just stone faced. Okay. She's like, and then all of a sudden, like, what? She's stone faced, looking off camera. She's getting a cue right now to cry. Someone pinched her.
It's very obvious.
It's
but
so obvious, and I was just like, I hate that. It took me out
I
of the movie for
personally
a
didn't
second.
mind that.
Listen.
I took it as she's processing emotions. Emotions
I
process cry.
listen. That's not how that works. Like it
No.
just didn't seem natural, and I'm like, I don't know if it's because they were this is the final cut and they did it in one take. Who knows? I just would have reshot it until it felt a lot more natural than like you pinched her to make her cry.
I mean, hey, if you wait long enough into the night when she's tired enough, she'll start crying for real.
Yeah. So he eventually hands off Akiko to his neighbor,
Neighbor, yeah.
who is like basically the the mom, I guess, or the auntie, right? She's
They
the
like
auntie.
to
Auntie,
say
yeah.
auntie because like she babysits her a
Yeah.
lot.
Um,
That's
and
established.
and then Koichi's like, "Fuck this! I'm ready. I'm ride or die now. Like it's time to go kill Godzilla."
Mhm.
And I was just like, he's fulfilling his destiny first and foremost, right? We've come full circle. Before
He
he was too
fully
scared to
expects to
die.
die, by the way.
Yeah, and just it was it was heartbreaking, man. Like I was expecting him to die. And everyone, like all his friends and stuff that he made on the fishing boat, like the doctor and the captain and the kid and stuff like that, they're like, "Don't you fucking die."
Yeah.
Because
They
so
even
so
like
they
talk to
when
each
they
other and say, "Man, he is a former suicide pilot. We really don't trust him with this."
Death
well,
flags everywhere.
so when they're like, we need a way to distract Godzilla and lead Godzilla into the bay to the deepest part. And they're like, luckily, they're like, how are you knew that all the planes from World War II have been decommissioned and they can't fly? And they're like, well, we have something, and it turns out it's the Shinden. Again, super cool reveal. But they're like, but we need a pilot and we need a world class mechanic to fix it. And he's like, I know just the guy. But and then the doc and the captain are discussing. They're like, wait, Koichi was a suicide bomber. Is it okay to let him fly the plane? And then they're thinking about like what happened. It's like, well, shit, he just lost his like.
I just want us all to take a moment to appreciate the
It's
beauty
cool. It's a
of this
cool looking
fucking
plane.
plane. So cool. Anyway,
So they're discussing. They're like, well, Noriko just died, and this dude was a kamikaze pilot, and he seems more determined than ever to get rid of Godzilla. And they're like, he's not that dumb. He still has Akiko to live
Yeah,
for,
they're
right?
like he has a kid that he loves. He's not going to do it.
As it turns out, they go and trap they try to entrap Godzilla, and spoilers, or I guess surprise, it didn't work. In typical movie fashion, the first plan doesn't work, so they got to go with plan B.
I
Plan
also
B
want to
didn't
just
work.
I want to just point out the balls of the captain of the ship is like, we're gonna collide. Oh fuck it, go anyway.
Yeah, it was a super cool scene. Super cool captain guy, by the way.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
no.
For such a small role, like he really sells every scene that he's in.
Honestly, he was very impactful in his character.
I don't know who that actor was, but he was really good.
So the plan A to sink Godzilla and kill it with compression didn't work. So they're like, fuck it. We'll plan B. We're gonna release Godzilla and depressurize Godzilla, and hopefully they explode. Doesn't work. So they're like, well, fuck, we're fucked. And then out of nowhere, here comes Koichi, bro. Here comes Koichi. Like,
Meow.
this is the scene where they cut off like
All
Godzilla's getting
sound. Yeah.
ready to do another atomic breath, and
At the
everyone on the
ship
ship,
And
that
oh
everyone's
my
on.
god,
and everyone
you
on the
see
ships are like, because they're all like, they all think they're about to die. Like the plan
you see
failed.
people
Godzilla's alive.
crying, you see people running, you see people just silently accepting their fate. Holy shit, it was amazing to watch.
Yeah, this
The
is where all the
horror.
audio cuts off and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, here comes Koichi with the Shinden, bro. It's like, oh shit.
It was like at first it's like, oh hell yeah, cool hero moment. Then it goes silent and it's like, oh, oh no.
Yeah, he smacks into Godzilla because so in the earlier in the film, they figured that they could attack Godzilla from the inside because
Yeah.
they blew up Godzilla's mouth, but then they found out that, oh, we blew up Godzilla's mouth, but then Godzilla recovered. And they're like, oh shit, it can recover. So it needs to be a big enough blow
to
to
destroy
hurt
the
it
head.
enough. Yeah. And right after it shoots an atomic breath, it hurts itself while it does it, so it has to heal first before it can shoot it, which is like the timing that they have, right? They make Godzilla shoot an atomic breath at a decoy ship, so that way they're like, all right, decoy ship's down. If we got 10-minute run, dude, let's go. And yeah, so Koichi suicides into Godzilla's mouth and blows it up because he takes out the fuel, he takes out the
Yes.
guns, except he takes out like a bunch of the bombs or a bunch of the guns to put in bombs because he's like
Yeah.
it's a suicide run, and it's just like it's come
There's
full
like one
circle.
bomb in the nose of the plane. Like they've hollowed out the inside of the nose of the plane and they put a bomb in there.
They put 2
And
bombs in there.
Well, two
yeah,
bombs. Yeah.
one on each side, and it's just like this is Koichi's like moment, right? This is what he's been working up to. It's like Akiko is going to get taken care of by his neighbor, and he needs to avenge Noriko. And he smacks into it, and everyone's just like, "Oh fuck, dude, holy shit!" And I'm just like, "Oh, my heart, dude." I was like, "Koichi fulfilled his destiny. Yes, he got revenge for Noriko. Yes,
But it was so bittersweet, is the thing.
yeah."
Then you come in with the fucking hero moment. Then you come in with the parachute.
And then you're like, "Wait, look, he's right there!" And it's like, "Oh my god!" And remember that thing about like planes not having ejector seats? Well, the Shinden had an ejector seat. And I honestly thought so when Tachibana, the mechanic, is explaining the controls to Koichi, I thought Tachibana was gonna do a like a fake out where it's like he's like, before you hit Godzilla, you have to pull this lever, and that'll arm the bombs, otherwise it won't go off. And then like when Tachibana is inspecting the seat, like he sees there's an ejector thing on it,
Yep.
right? So then he looks at it, and then he looks at the bomb arming thing, and I'm like, oh, is he gonna swap the things? So like it'll eject him only if he arms the bomb. I thought that was what's gonna be it, right? Where Tachibana's like, you have to die first to like relive. Um, as it turns out, it cuts back to Tachibana being like, it looks like you're finally prepared to die. Well, in that case, I want you to know that there is an ejector seat on this plane. And then Tachibana finally forgives Koichi because he realizes, like, again, one of the themes of the movie was like leaving the ghosts of the past to rest,
Forgiveness. Yeah.
forgiveness, and moving forward and building a better future. And I'm just like, it was beautiful. And like they set this shit up from the beginning, bro. Like,
It
damn,
was so
it was so
perfectly done.
good.
Just I said it before, the great setups and payoffs in this movie. It's great writing, is what it is.
It's masterful.
And then we have that sequel bait at the end.
Then
Oh,
we get to the ending. So
Bro,
before
you find Noriko
Koichi,
survived. I
yo,
fucking
bro,
cried.
I was like, how in the world would she survive?
Which that whole thing is kind of set, not necessarily the survival, but something happening that Koishi's going to have to deal with after he gets back is set up, because after he goes off and leaves like the package full of stuff like money and documents with the little girl Akiko, she takes it next door to Auntie, and she opens it up, and then they're sitting together playing, and all of a sudden, knock knock knock, telegram, and then you see her open it up, and she's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" And then you
Yeah,
find her
it's like
at the end. She's there at the dock.
I assumed what that letter was Koichi writing a letter to her, because the only letter he gave her was, I leave Akiko in your care. Here's some money to help take care of her.
Yeah,
Right.
and then there's
So
also like a
I
bunch of
thought that he
documents and
wrote
shit that's
another
for
letter
her.
to her or something, and she was just like, "Oh my god, he's gonna kill himself." Again, wrong assumptions, but
Yeah,
great payout. Like, Noriko's alive. Like, holy shit. But I mean, it's kind of a bittersweet realization though, because when he goes to hug Noriko, we do get to see a shot of her back, and it's like it looks like radiation poisoning or
Neck.
radiation
yeah.
sickness,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh no,
And it's like it looks like it's slowly growing on her neck.
yeah.
It
Which is
looks
like,
like the Mothra thing, actually.
that's
Does
what
it?
I thought. So I
Yeah.
thought that exact same thing,
So
right?
I'm not okay. I'm not the only one that thought that. Okay, I'm
Oh
glad.
yeah, I thought it was the same thing, but I looked it up in Screen Rant, right? Said, oh no, it's just radiation poisoning. So I was like, oh okay, well Screen Rant probably knows more than I do.
I saw
I thought it
someone
was
that
something to do
said
with Mothra.
I saw somewhere online. Apparently, they're called like G cells.
Yeah, that's a thing. It is a thing. Well, but here's the thing. Towards like the very last shot of the movie you see is the carcass of a Godzilla, and you see it
Slowly
start
regenerating.
regrowing slowly.
Yeah, which
And then
is like,
that original Godzilla musical cue comes in right as the fade to black happens.
yeah, and it's like, will we make more? Is there going to be a cinematic universe? And I'm like, I wish there was. I
Like if
want to
it was
see King Ghidorah. I want to see Mothra.
like if it was done this masterfully, hell yeah. Like, please keep it coming. I will accept it.
Yeah. I honestly, if there was more of it, I'd love more of this. Like, this is, I think that Godzilla
In
minus
this
one.
style specifically.
So
I
I
think
should
that
say.
Godzilla minus one is a great entry into Godzilla. If you've never seen
Is it?
Godzilla,
Do you think
Honestly, yeah.
it may be the best Godzilla movie?
I'd say
It's up there. It's got to be in the top 5 for sure.
I will
I
personally
want
say
to
this
say
has
my favorite. Yes, I think this is my favorite Godzilla movie just because it's all right. You got to understand the old Godzilla is it's very dated.
It's a man in
Right.
a suit.
It's a man in a suit. It looks fucking funny. But to me, the original Godzilla movies, again, as a kid, I thought it was just about giant monsters fucking shit up. And that's what eventually the series evolved into. But originally it wasn't. I
Mhm.
think that Godzilla minus one does a lot where it satisfies the craving for like, oh, big kaiju fuck shit up. Yeah. But
Yeah.
also the human element and the story behind it and the themes and stuff like that. Right. The allegory, not really. Yeah, I guess
Allegory.
allegory.
No, there was
The
allegory.
allegories, like they really shine through, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Mm.
I feel like this is my favorite one because I can't think of better ones. Like Godzilla versus Kong was okay, you know, like Monster Island was okay, whatever. It was a carnival fight. I thought it was action packed. I liked it, but that tickled my fancy of like the older Godzilla films of like, oh shit, we just get to see kaiju fighting, right? That's all
Yeah.
I cared about back then when I was a kid. But this one more encapsulates the spirit of Godzilla, the original Godzilla.
I want to read something really quick. So we were talking about the sequel bait at the end, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna read this directly. It says, director Takashi Yamazaki reflected on the film's ending, saying, "I think it's more cinematic if it doesn't end neatly and properly. It's just so a sequel can be made. It's also so the characters are kept alive in the hearts of the audience." On the film's opening day, Yamazaki had expressed interest in directing another Godzilla film, saying, "I wonder if you will let me shoot one more picture. I think I can do one more."
I would love a second one. And I wanted it to be about Mothra.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that.
Oh
Is there a
boy.
Mothra one coming out?
So, Minami Hamabe, who is the actress who played Noriko,
Yeah.
um, said in an issue or in an interview with Mono magazine, said indicated in the same publication that this film may be the start of an entirely new Godzilla film series, noting if there is a next series, I might be the one stepping on and crushing people.
Oh, because she would turn into Mothra.
I'm, mm?
That would be really fucking cool.
I'm
Just saying.
saying if they've got it set up, man, do it. Also,
Oh, and then Akiko can be the girl who sings Mothra to like summon and sleep.
it's
Oh,
already
it
set
works.
up.
It's writing itself. It's
It's
writing
already set
itself.
up.
Cinema.
Cinema.
And I want to say this is apropos of nothing to do with Godzilla, but Yamazaki has said that his biggest dream in life is to direct Star Wars movies. Kathleen Kennedy, listen close.
Oh my god.
Listen, I want you to listen to me right now. Call this man today. I'll write it for you. I promise. I got 3 words for you. Darth Revan trilogy.
Bro, that's high stakes.
This man is super passionate about Star Wars and he knows the lore. I mean, come on, give it to him. Let him write it, let him direct it.
Sure. I totally know what Darth Revan, who that is. Yes.
It's Star Wars
Shinoda
nerd
knows
shit.
who I'm
Don't
talking
worry
about.
Yeah, I love it. It's some of the best writing in Star Wars. But
Oh, so
yeah,
it must not have been written by George Lucas.
it
You're
wasn't.
right. You're
It
absolutely
wasn't.
right.
It wasn't.
Take that, Star Wars fans.
As a Star Wars fan, I agree.
But no, like let me tell you something. This dude did a phenomenal job directing this, phenomenal job writing this. The visual effects look great. Easy 10 out of 10 for me.
Yep, let's move on to
It's shocking to me that in a year that includes Oppenheimer, which I thought was easily going to be my favorite film of the year, this might beat it.
Okay.
for
Like
me.
it's really close from like my of my top 3 movies. Like it's Oppenheimer and this are 1 and 2, and I can't decide which one is which.
So for me, personally, this has been a fantastic year for movies. There's been lots of movies, lots of good movies as well.
Ah,
And
yes, classics like the Marvels.
Yeah.
oh, absolutely! What a classic! What a
And,
great
Blue
movie!
Beetle
Oh, and Blue Beetle.
Oh,
that was
God,
great.
and
and
Blue
The
Beetle.
Flash.
Oh man.
what a great year for movies! Such great comedies.
You
Yeah.
can't tell we're being facetious. Blue Beetle sucked.
It really did. Don't.
I hated it. I wanted to like it because I was like, oh yeah, DC's Spider-Man. Because that's who Blue Beetle is, really. He's DC Spider-Man. He's Walmart Spider-Man.
Walmart Spider-Man.
Walmart Spider- But I thought this was an absolute masterpiece. Both times I watched the movie, I cried like a little bitch. I loved it. It is movie of the year, 10 out of 10. Fucking perfect.
I want to go see it again.
Please do. It's so worth it. After seeing it twice, it's beyond worth it. Hell, in my theater, they moved it from like the small foreign films over there room to, oh, we're putting this in the big room.
I personally, not a perfect movie, right? Because the child acting, just like the only detracting point to me was the child acting. I just felt
it
like
has small issues.
I think it would have worked fine if you got an older actor. If you made Akiko like 5 when they first meet and then make her 10
Yeah,
afterwards,
somewhere between like 7 and 10.
like that's fine. That would have worked. But it is what it is. So to me, 9 out of 10, almost perfect. But just like that one little thing really bugged me.
Okay.
Right.
This movie's not playing anymore in my state. It still is playing in select theaters that's like 50 miles away. I'm not going 50 miles to go watch this movie again. Not gonna lie. I'll just buy it when it comes out on Vudu or something.
I'm planning on buying the 4K version of it. Like straight up. I
Yeah,
love this movie that much.
I hope for a sequel, dude. I really do.
Yeah, 100%. Me too. Especially if it's going to be done like written by the same guy who seems super passionate about this source material. Do it. That's it.
Who was let me real quick, let me ask. Who was your favorite actor? Or not favorite actor, favorite character in the movie?
I personally really like Koichi, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main character was really good. I
Because he
thought
just felt so real.
the dude who played Tachibana did a really good job too.
Oh yeah, Tachibana was a good actor.
I fucking loved the captain, the small ship captain. What's his
Oh
name?
yeah, because he's
He-
obviously he's a vet too, and he's grizzled from war, right?
He's the
Where it's
gruff,
like,
cynical, like war
yeah,
veteran.
the gruff, cynical
but
guy,
more
but he's
than
like
that,
he's got a heart
he
of gold.
says everything as it is, and he gives no shit. He just says how it is, and I love him for that.
Yeah.
I do. I'm shocked, Shinoda, that you never told us about your time as a naval weapons engineer.
What?
The character's name is Noda.
Oh,
right. Right.
Kenji,
right.
Kenji Noda. I'm shocked, Shinoda, that you didn't tell us about this point in your career.
I'm a brown man. I'm not allowed to talk about those things.
But yeah, that's it. That's our review of Godzilla -1. Fantastic movie. Go see it if you haven't already. If you still can by the time this comes out. When it's out on streaming or on home video, see it that way if you can too.
Please support this movie, dear God.
I want this to get a Blu-ray release because I want to fucking own it.
Yeah, I would not mind owning this either.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for dropping in to watch us. Don't forget to check down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like what you saw and you want to see more. Also, don't forget to check down below where you can find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitter, on TikTok, and on Discord. There's a link to our merch store down there as well where you can really help us out, get things like this, which I totally haven't been wearing for 2 weeks now, I promise.
Yeah, we didn't change anything. We're wearing all the same clothes for 2 weeks straight. Definitely not recording this back to back. Oh,
No.
we wouldn't do that.
But anyway, with that, I have been your host, Alex. We will see you next time. Say goodnight, guys.
Good night.
Godzilla, go roar.
Roar.